Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're listening to another episode of Walk-Ins Welcome with Nick and Michael. I'm Nick. That's Michael. We're glad to be back with you. We just passed our 200th episode.
Yeah, we did.
And I am cracked out on Orange Kissalani New. And I've got Michael Ray drinking some too.
I'm even drinking one right now. Grace would be proud because I know she's recently an addict of the Alani.
Some of y'all met her this past week at Naruka.
One of the Ukas.
One of the Ukas.
So
right.
We will encourage you guys, if you're looking at somewhere to connect with other urgent cares, go check out the urgent care associations and all their regional chapters. We just went to Naruka. We'll be at Saruka, which is southeast. We haven't been to Kauka yet.
That's right.
But we love the big Uka too. We call them Ukas. It's just more fun that way. But it's 200 episode was last week, which was super cool. Even had a discovery call yesterday where the guy had just listened to it, and it was like this funny celebrity moment for me.
Shout out.
I don't know if you saw my screen.
I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, and so 200 episodes, a lot of cool things have happened in 200 episodes. Go back and take a listen to that. We just did a fun recap. But in a past webinar, past webinar and podcast episodes, we've talked about branding here and there, and we're going to take this episode and kind of have an understanding that brand is expensive, brand takes time, brand is something that you typically associate with bigger companies, and a lot of you urgent cares are one location, two location, maybe five.
Coca-Cola, Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah, all these things. I was even
Procter and Gamble. I'm just thinking these massive brands.
And right before we started this episode, I was telling Nick about this new show called On Brand, which is like really interesting, kind of fun to watch. It's just it's a competition of trying to do branding campaigns for big brands. But it's so funny because when I was watching it, I was like, man, I could relate to every single bit of what they're saying.
Right.
But they're talking to a Dunkin' Donuts that they even said in the show, we have to get this right because we're spending millions of dollars on this one campaign, which at the end of the day,
they chose to do it on a television show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, it's awesome. All worked out. I got this figured out.
You know what it reminds me of is back in the day when like a band would not have a lead singer anymore and they would create this whole show around just getting a lead singer for that band.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And
so it's just live competition. So because they had a pitch deck, they had to pitch everything, had a live test, all these things. But like Dunkin' Donut, millions of dollars. We understand most urgent cares don't have millions of dollars.
Licking Good Donuts right down the road, no dollars.
No.
Next to Krispy Kreme, probably the best donut you'll ever have.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going somewhere with both sides of this.
Exactly. And so, and that's the thing too, because it's community, right? Where
Sure.
that they're in the community, but they also they have a really good donut that's better than a Dunkin' situation, all this stuff. Actually, and the kolaches,
Man.
Kolaches are where it's at. So that's
so
food.
good.
I don't know why we're talking about food. We've already eaten lunch. So,
sure. Well, before we get into the episode, here's what I know: a lot of the listeners will fall off near the end of the episode, and
we know the stats.
And that is the time that I typically ask you to either leave us a review or hit the subscribe button. So I'm going to go ahead and start our episode this way and just say, if you like listening to us, it really helps the algorithm get this in front of other urgent care owners. So if you'll hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or hit the review button on Spotify, leave us a review. On Apple, leave us a review. And with that, let's get into the episode. Here's what we want to talk about. Here's the theme. Grace was in our Monday meeting. Grace is, you probably talked to her on the phone if you've ever called in and had a conversation with us.
If you've ever had an initial conversation with us, Grace was probably there. And if she wasn't there, she was probably on the next call.
That's right. She heads up our business development here at Patient Care Marketing Pros. But the reason I bring it up, she brought this concept to our meeting and I loved it. So I started building on it. And that is that big clinics, like larger clinics, they get their client volume based on brand. Mm-hmm. Smaller clinics get their patient volume based on experiences and service.
Yep.
And they're two completely different thought processes. And there's pros and cons to both. I wanted to throw that out there as well. But here's the thing. If big clinics win with brand, small clinics win with service, here's the problem. Many clinics are trying to play in the wrong. Right. Some of the smaller clinics are trying to spend every dollar they have to be on every channel they can possibly be on. They're spending money on Facebook, Google, television, print, radio, grassroots. They're sponsoring everything they can sponsor. And I like the way, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, there's this scene where Frodo says, I feel like I'm butter spread over too much bread.
Exactly.
And that's the small clinic.
Yeah, it's
That's
real.
the small clinic.
And we know too that when you throw a sizable budget, but you split it up 10 ways and it becomes a very small budget on each channel, the effectiveness starts to go away. It's just the nature of anything, because you are competing. Sadly, you are competing with bigger brands when it comes to budgets on certain things. Now, there are ways around all that, but no, it is a challenge where a big brand can throw lots of dollars at something while a small brand just simply cannot.
No, and on the flip side of that coin, though, the bigger brands have so much money, they just throw money at everything, and they forget that they have a service to provide.
Yeah, exactly. They focus more on like the visual of
That's
it,
right.
and not the actual touch and the experience of it.
That's
all.
right. It's all about the packaging. You know what? Well, first of all, I have to say this: I really like Domino's pizza.
Did you like Domino's before it changed?
No, it tasted like cardboard.
Yeah,
But there's I'm actually going somewhere with this. They used to have the most amazing box in the pizza delivery business. It was awesome. It was fun. It like had a lot going on. It had jokes on it. It had little coloring areas.
That's fun.
And the pizza sucked. They spent all their money on the packaging, and what you actually ordered didn't deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
You follow me?
And you can make that argument with a lot of big brands.
That's right. Exactly. And I don't want to see our larger urgent care clinics, because I know you're listening to the podcast as well. I don't want you to spend so much money on your beautiful packaging or your beautiful buildings and you forget to deliver the pizza.
Yeah.
Right? They bought the pizza.
It's like you open up that Happy Meal and there's a rotted hamburger in there.
Oh, yeah. But I will say, people like to crap all over McDonald's or poo-poo all over McDonald's, but I will tell you, they're the most consistently mediocre food you'll ever get, which means it's going to be the same every time you go
Yeah,
there.
it's not amazing. It's not bad. It's
That's
just right there.
But brand will buy the attention, but service will earn the trust and keep them coming back.
Yep.
So, number 2, Michael, why does this conversation matter? Let's go through some of the stats.
All right, so a couple of things here. The urgent care industry is growing still. So I know that, like, I was looking at the stat that you have here from 2023,
Right.
which I want to say back when we first started with the industry, it was probably in the 12s.
It was, yep.
So 14.
That would have been back in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, or right in the mix of COVID.
Right.
But now you're over 14,000 urgent care centers out there. So it says saturated, but like that's kind of an interesting term for some of this, because sometimes it is saturated in certain areas. Like I know I was talking to an urgent care yesterday, startup. I pulled back on the map. I was like, well, you got like 5 or 6 within a mile of you.
You know what? Who would make the absolute most money in urgent care if they would just do it? Dollar General. Think about where they put them.
Yeah.
They put them in underserved areas.
Oh yeah, I know. I think
Right?
I'm a believer in the model of let the bigger brands do all the research for you.
Right.
I know actually Hibbett Sports was a big fan of that. So Hibbett Sports, they got sold. I don't think they exist anymore.
No, I mean, there's still one in Alabaster.
Well, I think something got bought.
For those who don't know where that is, that's in Alabama. But we'll keep going.
But Hibbett Sports it's a Birmingham-based sports equipment company, and their entire location model was we go in the shopping center beside a Walmart.
Right.
Because
they just let them do all the heavy lifting.
Because then Walmart is like, well, we can't offer all the things, but we can Hibbett Sports,
right.
that type of stuff.
I can't tell you how many times I've tried to get something from one of my children, sports-wise, in a Walmart and had to go to Hibbett to get
by design.
They did by design. But yeah, and not only are there a ton of urgent care clinics, but they're all within a 10-mile radius. Most of the time, not in the rural areas.
Yep.
I get that, but most of the time they're within a 10-mile radius of your house.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, if you're listening, just think about how close is the urgent care to my house.
Yeah,
and
how many?
So when I was recently on a webinar with Xperity, and I made this connection that it's more like retail food chain at this point. Retail healthcare is retail food chain, and it's almost fast food chain, not just like sit down restaurant, right? But anyway, over 78% of patients have that 10-mile radius around them where they can get to it. So, keep going, Michael. You were on a roll.
Oh yeah, sorry. And the other side of that, most patients make decisions fast. So it's true, man. It's so true on that side of things, where we tell people all the time, if you can't get if somebody's going to call you and you can't answer within 30 seconds, with a good answer, by the way, not just the half-baked rude answer.
Right.
Looking at you, urgent cares, that had to review calls on recently. They're going to move on. They're going to move.
Personal.
It is a little personal. So we do a lot of front desk stuff around here, and so I get to go listen to calls with our clients that have some issues on conversions, and I get so aggravated because there's like that front desk person was being rude to someone they've never talked to before
For no reason.
for no good reason. At the end of just there's so much.
People are people.
They are. So, but yeah, visibility and word of mouth is a big part of that as well. And then. And the other thing I note here, knowing which lever to pull is the difference between slow bleed and sustainable growth. We hear that quite a bit, and it's so funny. I hear that which lever to pull in big company conversations. Like, we just pulled that lever and this lever. Well, in a small business situation, you may only have one or two levers you were able to pull in the first place.
Well, so I will tell you this: if we're going to look at levers, if you look at 10 levers across the board, a larger company can pull levers at the same time.
Yes.
Where a smaller company, when you pull one, the other one pops up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They're more of a pulley
because it doesn't have enough power
to
boot both of them. Yeah.
Well, so let's look at the two different models that we just talked about. One is brand driven, one is service driven.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to give you the pros and cons. I will do the brand driven. You can do the experience driven.
Okay.
But here's model one, the brand driven growth that's used by larger clinics and chains. Right. So here are the pros. Let's start with the pros. Scalability. The brand equity, it'll help you open new locations faster with new patients coming through the door faster because there's familiarity.
We see that too.
We absolutely see that. For those, I think brand is incredibly important. That's the reason we did a podcast episode. But we also have to recognize that brand isn't everything. But with that, when you open up multi-locations, when they go in, they go, oh, there's another one of those ABC XYZ urgent cares.
Exactly.
They know it. They know the coloring. They know the schemes.
They know
to a degree. They know what they're going to get.
Yeah, and then they know that like my stuff's already part of them. Probably I don't have to become a new patient. I'm already a patient in that mindset.
So here's the difference though. When you have that mindset of branding, it has the McDonald's effect. I know that if I go to the McDonald's right down by my house, it's going to have the exact same or very similar experience than the one right across town to the one over in Memphis where my family lives, over the one out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? The experience is going to be the same. Well, here's the deal. It's going to be exceptionally mediocre. We already talked about that. Well, I just had a great hamburger earlier today at Whiskey Bravo, Whiskey Foxtrot, whatever it was called, right? The burger was outstanding. But if I'm traveling or if I'm unfamiliar with the area, the likelihood of me going to that over a McDonald's is going to be pretty slim, right?
Especially when you just need something real quick.
But one of them makes me want to talk about it way more than the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So search and map dominance. By default, when you start getting reviews at multi-locations on the Google business profile,
it just grows. Like
organically, you're going to pop up. You're going to just show up.
Yeah, you rise the tide. We see it because we've had conversations with clinics where they wanted to open a second clinic, but they maybe wanted to call it something different because they wanted to call it the city's name instead. And while strategically for a single location, it's not a bad idea, but multi-location, no, it's better. Google would rather reward the one that has multi-locations than has individual locations that just so happen to be owned by the same firm. But the problem with that, because Google doesn't know that, right? So Google's like, this place has 20 locations and it's consistent on the information I can pull from it. It's naturally going to get you up higher. Right. And we see it all the time. Like when we work with a company that has 8 to 10 locations, they add a location, getting that to rank, it's not hard.
Yeah.
Compared to one location and they decide to add another one but call it something different, it's like starting over.
That's right. That's right.
It really is.
So your brand and multi-location is going to add legitimacy, and I know this here that I wrote says hospital affiliations and chains feel more official, but really there's something in our psyche that says if they're smart enough to open up 4, 5, or 6, or 20 or 100 locations, they probably know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. There's that default thing that there is a confidence in that level of branding. And then you have better vendor leverage. That is for sure.
Yep.
That actually plays out. And this is full transparency. I think you guys like it when we're transparent with you. If you come at me with a 40, 50, 60, 70 location urgent care, the pricing model is going to be different than if it's a one location.
We're going to be like, yes, because even for ourselves, a single location urgent care has a certain price. A 45, 55, 100 location urgent care has a different price because of their size. And we have to adjust for that because everything has to make sense. And it's not we're just going to do whatever they say because they're bigger. It's more of like, we understand if we're working with one brand, adding locations isn't like starting over every time.
Correct.
So that's where that part comes in. But it's true, most large brands have lots of vendor leverage, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's just not.
We were talking the other day how we were talking about like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and how probably Walmart gets a very different percentage rate.
Oh, 100%. And actually, I saw an interview on that.
Bob Smart.
Because I saw an interview on that where they questioned like MasterCard or Visa.
Oh, that was at like a government level.
It was, and they're like, "Can you tell us what Walmart's rate is?" And like, we can't tell you, like exactly because it's a negotiated private rate. And if they did tell you, all of their existing customers would say, "Well, give us that rate."
Correct.
And then we chatted about the whole like Walmart absolutely will not do Apple Pay or Google Pay, which is so frustrating.
Right, it is.
But they want our data, and they get their data from Walmart Pay. So anyway,
well, all that sounds great. Let's talk about the negative parts of that, and then we'll keep going down the road here. So, high overhead, marketing dollars, staff dollars, real estate dollars, investing in systems. When you do things at scale, there is cost and high overhead that's attached to that. So where you have a one location clinic that at 23 patients per day may be break even and even profitable, when you start getting to multi-location clinics, actually creeps up, not down.
Yep.
So you would probably be closer to 30 to 32, maybe 33 patients per day that you have to hit those break-even levels because your overhead is just that much higher.
Well, and then we recognize that a lot of multi-locations, let's say you have 8 locations, there's probably 3 or 4 that's carrying the brand.
That's right.
It's just
we see that a lot.
We see that a lot where you have 3 or 4 like they're doing everything. The other 3 or 4, the other half of the locations are surviving.
Right.
And they would not survive if the other ones weren't pumping that in there. So it's real, and it's just part of it. Because I can go ahead and tell you right now, urgent cares who are single locations are thinking themselves, man, that urgent care is like 10 or 15. I bet they're making so much money. Sometimes.
Well, they probably are. Otherwise, why would you do it? The multi-locations allows you to compound your time.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Right?
But they have their own set of headaches. Like we're talking here, like when the bigger you get, the slower you move.
That's it.
And then if you have one location that goes rogue, it will affect everybody else.
We were having with a conversation with a clinic recently where they were having legitimate problems over standards for like Halloween decorations.
Or Christmas trees.
Christmas trees, right? And I'm going, actually, I get that. There's some things in our own company that the bigger that we grow internally, you have to like almost you have to put things in writing.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. And stupid stuff. Like,
and one of them had like rogue employees that were creating TikTok accounts on behalf of the brand, which you really don't want that because then you lose complete control, and that can go bad really quick with one video.
Well, let's transition from the branding side over to the service-driven growth. This would be for our smaller, maybe single locations, maybe 2, but mostly going to be single locations, or those kinds of things. Go ahead and start with our price list.
Yeah, and it should be noted, most of the time in these smaller brands, the owner probably is already known in the community in some capacity. Like there's
like Whiskey Foxtrot.
Yeah, like
the burgers.
Yeah, there's some like, oh, I know so and so. It happens all the time.
That place was booming.
Yeah, and then some of it's out of pure like talking right here where you're going to have good service because you care about the people because you go to church with them or you go.
You're going to bump into them on the ice cream aisle.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're going to be sitting in traffic beside them. Like we were having that last week. We were in Hal's Jeep and he pulls up. And we're just chatting to some guy on the highway.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like because that's just local. But anyway, so you're going to be driven by high service, good service. And then the word of mouth and that part of the piece is really important. So like there's that local piece, right? And urgent cares are community driven. That's such an important piece to note. Other pro to the service, like you're small, so you can adapt on the fly. If there's something happening in that community, you can quickly adapt to that. Or if there's a staffing change, or I need to make a policy change because I didn't expect this to happen.
Right.
You could do it. You yourself, the owner, could just make it happen, right? You're not having to get 5 approvals from somebody. Generally, smaller teams have really good culture, so the staff is more bought
or
in.
really terrible. Like that could go either way.
Yeah, like because it could be
that'll be determined by the leader.
But a bad apple could really mess things up. But chances are they're more bought into it, and they're not taking just a paycheck.
I'm immediately thinking of Andy over at Evergreen. He's got the best culture.
Yeah.
Like his team, like at least the way it's been expressed, the interactions I've had with Andy and the interactions I've seen, like they're so tight knit. He loves his team.
Yep.
He treats them with respect.
He cares for them.
They care for him. They show up. They show up for their customers, and for their patients. That's a good small business with a great culture.
Yeah. And then the other nice part too, where while we love paid ads isn't always the big driving factor because the community hopefully is backing them up as well. Now, I will say with all of that, it's still a challenge because patients forget where they went. They don't remember.
Very bad short-term memory loss.
They do have short-term memory on this.
Sometimes long-term.
Yeah, sometimes forever. So what are the cons to this situation? What are the cons to this type of model? The visibility isn't obvious. Like you have to make the effort to be visible to people where you're going out to the community on a regular basis, not just the ads themselves. And it's the grassroots is challenging because as an owner, you want your businesses to survive and thrive. But then you're like, why? Then you have to have that humbling moment where I really have to go do this to make an improvement. I can't just rely on the system to just do everything for me.
Right.
And there's some humbling that goes on with that because the side of you saying, well, I built this thing so I don't have to work. Well, you do have to work for a while
And you still have to work.
And you still have to work. It's
Sorry.
just different work later on.
Yeah.
The other challenge that you run into because you're small, you don't know what predictable patient volume looks like. And so, and then your brand can't lift you up in moments where when something's happening, can we keep that volume where it should be? Or can we crank up a bunch of dollars to help push in more volume? So you have challenges there, right? That's something that's very important because an inconsistent patient volume is going to create what we want to call it nervousness in your company, nervousness with your staff, and then you may make bad decisions on all of that. So you have to be very resilient about the whole situation. And then, of course, if you want to scaling for a small business is so challenging. We talk about it all the time in our business. Like we need to learn how to scale. We talk about it. We say the word scale. And then when you finally, rubber meets the road, you thought you were scaling and then something falls apart because you haven't thought through it. The bigger brands, they've been through the pain of that. There is an ultimate advantage when you buy into a franchise because they have all the systems in place. While, you're paying a fee and that's super annoying, but they have systems, they have the market, they have everything in place. So they've already experienced the bad to tell you exactly what to do. So as a small clinic, you're like, I think this is the right move. It ends up not being the right move, blows up in your face. And that's always a challenge. You have to make up for some of that. And then that also goes into like the marketing side where you're like, I think this will work. You pull that lever and it didn't do anything.
That's right. Or it didn't happen in the time frame you needed it to.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you pay for this sponsorship because emotionally you were attached to it. And it did nothing but just burn the dollar that you put on it. So like that happens all the time. And
like
don't feel
sponsoring a baseball game.
Yeah, or a lot of sporting events out there, but that you learn from it, and then maybe it's okay it burned money. It's okay because you want to just be in the community and support the community, but you have to be mindful. Like you don't have big deep pockets to do this on a regular basis, and that's scary sometimes.
Well, here's what happens. You have two models. You have big clinics that try and act like they're small, and you have small clinics that try and look like they're big.
Yep.
And so when a big clinic tries to act small, they struggle to maintain their experiences across all their locations.
Yeah,
It just doesn't work, right? And then worse, when a problem pops up, they can't change the direction of the ship fast enough to fix the broken patient flow, right? So just think of it like a small clinic is more like a jet ski or wave runner.
Yep.
And then the larger the clinic is, the larger the boat, the harder it is to turn. So you get one of these amazing but very, very large 400 plus location clinics. That's like trying to turn a cruise ship.
And it may not make it.
It's just going to tip over.
Yeah, or they
not at all.
They started turning. It's like, I'm tired of turning. I'm turning back.
That's it. I mean, like a wave runner will turn instantly.
Yeah.
A cruise ship takes probably several miles to turn, right? So that's the point is you can't treat it the same. And then there's a small clinic, they're going to blow through their budget before like 10 a.m.
Yeah. And,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've seen that quite a few times where, hey, this is your daily budget, but it ran out at 11.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, can you add more? Like, do you want to add more? Can you add more?
Well, so let me just be real with you. If you don't have $1,000 or $1,500 or even $2,500 somewhere in that range to invest in digital, for example, I would tell you don't waste your money at all.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's not even worth it. You're not going to get enough. You're just going to be frustrated, and those dollars can be better leveraged somewhere else.
No, absolutely.
Right. And then, of course, you end up with a really nice design. But this is one of small clinics. They're trying to look big. They have this beautiful design, but there's nobody in their rooms.
No,
Like, they don't have anybody there.
Yeah, we've seen that too, where that new clinic, they put all the love and effort into it, and then there's nobody there to fill it up. And that's real. And the sad part is, like, that takes a lot of time, energy, mental energy, and then it's depressing when it doesn't do anything. Real depressing.
Well, so Michael, like, what do you do? If your clinic's small, what do you do?
Yeah,
Double down on
all the local parts of it. So
reputation.
Reputation is probably the biggest thing, I would say. Like, it mentions these other things like focusing on local SEO, reviews, and speed of search friendliness, but it goes back to reputation, because we've seen it. We have clinics, these single location clinics that have impeccable reputation, and their patient volume is very consistent.
Right.
And that's because the community believes in them, and they know they're going to get a good experience every single time.
That's right.
And that's so huge, because I would say this: if I was going to, actually, let's just role play this. If you were going to start an urgent care today, we know a lot about urgent care. We don't know everything. We know a lot. How would you make sure that, like, your reputation is top notch on a regular basis? Think about it. Yeah, you run the urgent care. You are the primary doctor, because we know how that goes, and you have 3 staff.
I mean, I would give the best service I could possibly get.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be like the number one way I would be able to.
Yeah.
Service would be it.
But I'm thinking, like, you would find the ways to go that little extra mile each time.
That's definitely something I would do.
And let's explain extra mile. An extra mile, we talked about this in the past, but an extra mile is that follow-up call, that follow-up text by you, not always the staff person. The tell me how you're doing beyond what's wrong right now. Like, just conversation, making sure, like, let me walk you back to the front desk to get things taken care of. Not just walk down the hallway. I'll see you later, as I'm staring at my iPad to fill in my information. You know, that just, I want to pay attention to you. And then it also hey, this is what we typically do, but because of what you just told me, I'm going to make an adjustment and take care of you.
Right.
Like, that's the type of service and reputation that a local single location urgent care should care about, because that's what makes you different from a big brand. Because a big brand, they have to follow policy. They have to go through bureaucracy. There's so many layers. Like, even a conversation I had the other day from someone, I forget who it was. No, I'm sorry, it was a call recording I was checking in on. They said, we don't have that. I have to check with so-and-so, and they're not here. It's like, could you make the extra step of pulling up the file? Like, in my mind, I was like, why didn't you just pull up the file? You have access. Anyway, it's just like these little things, like, let me just take care of you. Let me be Mama Bear, we joked about, because she was awesome. Just the extra little piece. Because I even think about, like, when we first started here with our agency, we would go the extra mile. Service matters. Service still matters, but it was very, like, we're going to take care of you the best way we possibly can, even if we have to be more flexible on our end, just to make, because you're not as flexible.
Right.
So.
Well, and now we have to do that just based on the size of it. We're not the biggest agency out there, but we're making incremental increases every single month, every single quarter, every single year.
Yep.
And so we have to think like a larger clinic, because that's the direction we're going, right? So how does a larger clinic do this? Well, you got to standardize this stuff. Yes. Right? You have to increase your check-in speed, and you have to make a system for that. You have to systemize your wait times, right? And it has to be standardized across the board.
Gotta have those metrics.
Yep. What's really cool, and I don't mind giving a shout out to Xperity on this, they have this thing called Care Agent that they're rolling out.
Yeah.
And when it says follow-ups, how can we do a follow-up, systemize it, but it still do what you just said, which is how can it sound like it's coming from the doctor about their ailment? Yeah. And so Xperity's come out with an AI that'll do that, where it'll dig into your system. It'll say, hey, how's that cough? Is it improving? Like, that was an AI that did it, though. That's wild to me. So I think that's pretty cool. But you, at this point, you're using your brand to dominate your market share. You're not doing it on a service level, and you back it up with as much operational excellence as you can.
Yeah.
But you have to find a way to systemize it.
Yeah, and systemizing, there's so many nuances to it because we find out here too where we think we have a system figured out and then it gets broken. And broken systems are meant to be broken. Like they're not meant to be. I built this 5 years ago and it's still doing exactly what it's supposed to do, even though we're 10 times our size.
That's right.
That's pretty rare, right? Like that doesn't ever happen where even your EMR of today may not be doing everything you need it to do in 5 years from now. And that's the reason why people make switches. But I just think about how like the way they put it, the staff that you have today will not be the staff that you need at the next level.
Well, the way we said it when we were small is the things that got us to 1 million.
Yes.
That took us to 1 million won't be the same staff that takes us to 10 million.
Exactly.
And actually, with the exception of you and basically Hannah, Kimberly, that's proven out to be completely true.
Yeah, like
right?
the staff, like because we look back at our old Christmas photos.
Yeah, we keep them up because we still love people.
Yeah, we love people, and they were incremental, important pieces to the puzzle. Like if you look back at like there were some things that mattered when they were there. They made these changes that we either still use today or it taught us something.
Right.
But no, it's because you look at the team that we had 6 years ago, 7 years ago. We're like, wow, that's a whole lot different. I would even say the first 2 years of the company had lots of change going on.
Well, so think of it this way, because we're talking about big brand versus small brand, right? The type of people that you would hire that are very attracted to customer service are most likely not very attracted at all to a system.
They're not attracted to corporate mindset.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm not attracted to corporate mindset. It turns me off greatly. I don't like it at all. That doesn't mean that I can't work with corporations. We do, right? But like when I hear the word synergy, I throw up in my mouth a little bit. Right?
I'll circle back on that.
Yeah. Oh, right. To which people are going, jerk. That's what we say around here. And I was like, I'm not mad at you for saying that. But when I hear synergy
and I get
silos
it, I get it.
and going forward and these kind of things, like I die a little inside because I'm not built for that personally. And so what I've done though, think about this. This is the important segue here is I've put people in place who can handle that.
Yeah.
Who do enjoy that so that the company, my company, and by the way, your clinic isn't limited by you, the owner, you, the leader, right?
Right.
John,
it better not be.
John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid. You're the law of the lid. And your company will never outgrow your ability unless you find a way to work on it.
Yep.
And sometimes that is fixing yourself, and sometimes that's putting people in place that in areas that you know you can't fix.
Exactly.
So that's it, man.
Yeah, I just think about talking about the staff part. I know last week we're reminiscing on 200 episodes. Our staff was completely different when we started this podcast.
That's right.
A lot has happened since then, but the staff that we have now is so different looking than it was just 3 years ago.
I look older.
It's real. And it just everybody looks a little older. Honest, it's kind of funny because we have them right here in our hallway of almost all of our Christmas photos.
Right.
I know the oldest one I can see is where Addie was an infant, basically, and that was her poop explosion day.
That's funny.
You remember that?
Yes.
She hasn't pooped in 2 days. Oh, there it is, right in front of the photo.
She waited for work.
She did wait. She was just waiting the whole time. But that was 6 years ago. So it's just cool to see all that. And it's all good memories. Like there's some challenges to it, but boy, howdy, if we didn't have those challenges, we wouldn't be where we are.
And if you didn't know we were in Alabama, boy, howdy, you do now.
I'm okay with that. I'm a Southerner.
That almost sounds like Texas, though. I can't tell.
I can go any flavor you want.
I love it.
It's all good.
Well, listen, in urgent care, brands fill the waiting room, service keeps it full.
There you go. It's true.
There you go.
Because service will actually keep it empty if you don't watch it.
If you're not careful, it'll also clear out your
your.
Well, as always, we appreciate you listening to us, and I hope we've found some ways here to help you get more patients, deliver better care, get repeat visits,
all
scale
the
your
fun
clinics. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Yeah.